Welcome back to Psychedelics Today. Solidarity Fridays. How you doing, Kyle?
Good, Joe. We're sitting out here on this balcony in this bay. Really nice.
Biscayne Bay, Miami, looking out over, suppose you call it Miami Beach.
Yeah, that is Miami Beach over there.
Yeah, gorgeous. We had a really interesting time. It's actually stand up. I feel hear a really weird echo and don't want anybody to suffer with it. So yeah, this is going to be a really short episode, everybody, because we did on Thursday, November 11, a Veterans Day episode. So, and we're still on the road, so want to keep it a little brief. We'll be back to our regular schedule soon enough.
And it's been a pretty busy few days, so energy levels are feeling a little low.
Yeah. I didn't know I could talk so much in person. Yeah. So we just wrapped up 2 days at Microdoses Wonderland in Miami. The previous 2 days, I was at Delic Corp's Meet Delic event, which is pretty fun, at the Meow Wolf facility in Las Vegas. I'm almost caught up on sleep, probably a few more days. So, I wasn't really planning on coming here, but I'm happy I did.
Yeah, I wasn't either. I think I pulled the trigger like 2 weeks beforehand.
Right. That was just right before that, I think. So 2 very different conferences, both populated with very interesting folks. Meet Delic, I think, was slightly smaller. And yeah, we saw people like Carl Hart there, Paul Rosen. Geez, there's actually a pretty decent list of names.
Yeah, I think Devin Christie was there.
Christie, Will Thew. Yeah, man, I wish I had a list printed out, but it was good. I really attended very few talks, but I made some really amazing connections.
What was one thing that stood out the most for you over there?
It was smaller than I thought it was going to be, but it was still well done. There was 2 different speaking stages. Here at Wonderland, it was 2 different, or 1 stage only. 1
stage, yeah.
But really packed and really long days. So it's good stuff, though. But yeah, Las Vegas, I would say the Meow Wolf facility is stunning.
That's where it was located?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was in a kind of conference event space attached to Meow Wolf stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Once you see something like that, you can get a little excited about what's possible. I stayed off strip for the first time. This is actually my first time going to Las Vegas, not for fish, which is fun. It was actually pretty cool to get a little slice of Las Vegas outside of that. But, I met people from all over. There's a lot more costumes, a lot more Burning Man types there. I think because, number one, it's in Las Vegas. There's a bunch of those folks there, drivable from San Diego, Arizona, Los Angeles, and elsewhere. So a lot of cool stuff was going on. I was actually brought my 3 veteran friends from yesterday's episode.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they got to meet the Heroic Hearts people
there.
I recorded it there. Yeah,
nice.
Last minute decision. I was asking everybody to do it weeks and weeks before, but it didn't work out. But it was really great. I was very happy. They were very happy to meet the Heroic Hearts guys like Jesse Gould and Nathan Paul, a number of others there, quite active in that scene. And it was awesome. Got to spend a lot of time with John Dennis, who it was our first time meeting, and we had a great time. We recorded our first ever webinar and had...
I think that's up on YouTube, so if people want to check that out, right?
Right. On our YouTube channel, you can see that. It's discussing what's going on in Oregon. Call it Tales from the Trenches on that episode. We'll probably change the name. But it's really good. There's a lot of depth. And Gary Michael Smith, who wrote Psychedelics, actually rolled in halfway through.
Oh,
so,
cool. Nice.
Yeah, we actually were able to get 2 attorneys at the same time. 2 attorneys, 1 webinar. Not bad. So, yeah, overall, amazing time. There's a lot more water available. There's some water issues due to COVID protocols at the venue.
Felt very dehydrated.
Here in Miami. Yeah, right. But there's plenty of water over there in Las Vegas. And yeah, overall, I think people are slowly coming out of their shells around COVID, which is nice. And, still be careful out there, folks. But we're seeing people lower their guard, and it seems really healthy to be with people again.
Yes, I was talking to some folks last night. We were at this after party, and it's really one of the first times I've been in a really enclosed space with so many people. And we're just chatting with somebody of the discomfort of there's this healthy discomfort of there's a risk. I mean, you just heard somebody who just got tested positive for COVID, but also, how much of that is also kind of psychological fear that's just baked in from being in isolation for over 1.5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a wild time. We're going to need psychedelics for healing from this for quite a while, I believe. Yeah. How do we feel safe around other people again? Down here in Florida, I don't think anybody is afraid of other folks being close or anything like that. It's a very different scene from where you and I are.
Yeah, I mean, this is my first time in Miami. And it's just so much more relaxed, and the environment definitely fosters that. You can really feel it in the air, and just being by the water and the heat.
Totally. It wasn't too hot here. It was nice and chill. And this one it was kind of almost like a Horizons feel, except there was a lot more business and like venture capital stuff going, a lot more investment conversations. I think one of the few kind of really businessy things that was happening at Horizons in 2019 was the talks around synthesis and B Corps, and also Compass Pathways was on stage discussing how they had
that whole kind of panel
right
towards the end there.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that was a panel. I was wondering. It's like I wouldn't have sat for a full hour listening to either of those folks, but it makes sense that it was a panel. And I think there was a lot of interesting Q&A there. There was Q&A at Meet Delic, but minimal Q&A here, right?
Yeah, because I think the panels were just so short. Like some of them, it felt like you only had like 20 minutes to run your panel, or like 30 minutes. Like how do you cram all that in?
So I was really happy at Meet Delic not to like have a panel or like any kind of official role, other than like they paid us money to help sponsor the event. All good. This time around, we were sponsors, and I was able to finagle a panel moderation spot, and it was with a number of interesting characters and 6 people, I think, in 20 minutes. What does psychedelics look like in 2031? Was the essence of it. I got some digs in saying, in 2031, our friends at the DEA should have about 10% of the budget if they exist at all. And some other really fun things. We got into, one group, Journey Collab. They're looking at mescaline for alcohol use disorder.
You don't hear too much mescaline research. So I'm glad somebody's investigating.
I'm really happy about that. And then there was a group, Remind Capital, I think Jan Holthrop, maybe from Dusseldorf, Germany. And he's, I think it's the largest mental health VC. He was on the panel. They, I think, have 150 million invested or something like that. It's interesting. They're in with Christian Angermeyer. So I had some like questions and comments around, patents and whatnot. And, I think he understands my point. And I spent a lot of time actually asking this weekend about, as if this is a weekend, asking a lot of people at this conference in particular about like, how should I understand this issue with Compass? How should I understand all this stuff with the tie? Is it actually really bad for the ecosystem? And I'm actually becoming a little softer on the topic.
Why is that?
I'm thinking I don't understand exactly what the patent applications are and what they're for. I had somebody highly critical of Compass actually come at correct me on what all that hype was about around soft furniture and stuff. So I think it was just part of a single application. So I'm getting new info. It's challenging for me to like think differently about it because I've spoken so aggressively about it in the past. But I think I need to do a lot more research, probably talk to a lot more IP folks and really understand it, because what I don't want is for that to get in the way of having hundreds, if not thousands, of these psychedelic groups doing work, either in the underground, above ground, religious or otherwise capacities. And that was my sense. And they would lock down the whole thing so that others couldn't innovate in psychedelics. Yeah, but I might be wrong. So I'm going to do some more digging. I'll report back to everybody. This is an important topic.
Yeah. And Compass just released some new research, right?
Did you dig into it?
I didn't. I was hearing little things here and there, but they just released some of their outcomes from their studies. But I think what I
freaked
did
a lot of people out.
Yeah, was that there's increased suicidal thinking in some of their
this is the word on the street. I don't think you and I should get too into it, but yeah, there were some things that freaked people out, and perhaps the results weren't as durable as they hoped. And you and I have some speculations on maybe why that is.
Yeah.
I'm also less freaked out about an increase in suicidal thinking, but I can see how including that in a study would freak out investors.
Yeah.
What I did notice is when that came out, a lot of companies who are public went down.
Yeah, I think
like 20 plus, upwards of 30+%. Yeah. I don't know if they've recovered or not.
Which is crazy because I just did like a quick search and it said like some of the headlines was like compass positive outcomes and stuff like that. So I think like if you read the research, you had to do a little bit of digging. But yeah, I mean, it's been so busy here. I haven't really had time to sit down and read it. It was just kind of people talking and just chatting about it briefly.
Yeah. It's fascinating. Overall, I think it's positive for the movement that they're publishing. I think they need to, obviously. Yeah. And, we're going to see disappointing results. Yeah. Like here and there, results are going to be disappointing. And we have to realize a single study is, it's not enough information to really make massive conclusions. Like we need 3 studies in different countries or something, right?
Yeah. And I think when I think about that, when we do see, changes in results, whether that's a decrease, just thinking about like some of the earlier studies when, I feel like you had people that were really rooted in that culture and the work where maybe they understood how to like really create that setting. So I even heard, I think like some of it dropped in the MAP study too, in different groups, just a tiny bit. But thinking about like, say like Michael and Annie Mithofer that have been around, breathwork trained, they probably really understand how to create that set and setting versus, a lot of newer companies and people getting involved. It's very new, right? And so I think also seeing a decrease in any of those results is also, I think we're going to see it, right? Not everybody is up to speed. This is a totally new emerging field. Yeah. And that data is not going to stay so consistent as positive. So,
yeah. And I don't think it's a reason to be pessimistic. A lot of people are really pessimistic. Yeah. And it was like, so they had all these kind of sponsored after parties. So you had to leave the venue at a certain time. And I think I was getting kicked out last night. I was chatting with Lynn Marie Morsky. And they're like, you guys need to get out of here. What are you doing? Like, cut it out. So I walked over, met you all at a restaurant. It was nice. And they had just sponsored after parties. And last night was Psychedelic Invest, which I had not heard of before. And that was their official after party with Wonderland. And there was a lot of investor types there, obviously, given the name. Yep. we're kind of constantly surrounded by investor types, VCs, different kinds of individual investors. It's like a scene I had never been involved in before. And
so different.
Around this many people. So it was, I'm expecting going in a vibe like a Horizons. And that is not what I got.
Very different.
I'm not upset about it. It's nice to have different venues and different types of conferences. And I think conferences hopefully will be very different from each other.
Yeah.
Right. That's always the hope.
Yeah.
And so I'm overall pretty thankful for what they put on for us. I think it's necessary. I wasn't super over the moon about either, really. But I think what's going to happen is this is their first one.
Yeah.
And both groups are going to continually improve. And they've got a whole year to do it again if they choose to do one a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been interesting talking to other people that have been to Horizons, the MAPS conference. And, I know I kind of brought this up in another episode when we were kind of speculating, thinking about some of these, conferences that felt a little bit more grassroots. People are really rooted in that community, or at least the early research community. And then now all of a sudden coming here and being surrounded by investment bankers and VC funds and stuff like that. It felt like a totally different vibe. And I think other people that have been around for a while notice that too. But I think that's important, right? I mean,
massive change doesn't happen without money.
Yeah, yeah. And so it was interesting.
Gandhi didn't happen without a lot of money.
Yeah. And so it's interesting to see, I guess, the merging of that. And it's going to be important if we want to really scale and make psychedelics accessible. We're going to need the research. We're going to need companies come in and bring capital, make it more accessible to people, make it more scalable. So I think it's scary for a lot of people that maybe have been around for a while because it's like, whoa, what is this? I don't know how to relate to it. It is like a totally different language talking about, investments and capital and money. Like that's not my language, and it's like, whoa, this is so new versus going to say one that is just so kind of like psychotherapy oriented, talking about the therapy, being surrounded by therapists and researchers. Like, we can have all sorts of conversations that I understand. Right.
Yeah. And, this might be a good point to retroactively disclaimer what we were doing with Wonderland. We had a late to the game kind of sponsorship arrangement with them. And we kind of did a services trade. So we did a lot of marketing for them, and we got a free sponsorship package from them. So, that's why we did what we did. And that's why you saw so many Wonderland ads. So sorry, but you're welcome. It's kind of how we have to operate right now, everybody. So, and that was what? We only had 2 weeks for that.
Yeah. So sorry, it was so like jam packed, right? Hopefully, moving forward, that's a little bit more spread out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like we are going to have to get more sponsors to keep this thing going. So, strap in. We are going to get some ads, but we're going to try to spread it out and make it not too obnoxious. And, ahead of time, I won't say this too many other times, but there's always the fast forward button if you don't like it. Joe Rogan used to have sometimes 15 to 25 minutes of ads.
I'd fast forward that all the time.
On the YouTube, that was always like posted, skip to, 23, 22. And you're past the ads. I was like, okay, cool. So, it's how we have to keep the doors open. Part of the way we're able to keep the lights on here. So,
yeah.
And some of these companies are actually authentically excited about too.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's really distasteful, you'll probably hear about it.
Yeah.
But, largely I'm optimistic. Like I met very few people here that I authentically disliked.
Yeah.
Like I actually
was great.
Can't think of one I authentically disliked.
Yeah.
I met a few I authentically didn't like in Las Vegas, but of course that's going to happen in Las Vegas.
Yeah. And I mean, this, I don't know, felt like it motivated me more to some degree, right? It's like, the excitement's in the air and you're seeing people come together and kind of talk around the business around it of like, all right, what does this look like? How do we get this out to people? And,
talk about JP for a sec.
Yeah. So we're going to release a more in-depth episode with JP from New Life. But he was on a panel, and I think this really stood out. Just thinking about business development and goals of a business and what's the purpose. And on the panel, they were talking about valuation and how do you evaluate a company and whatnot. But he had a critique around like some of the things that the other panelists were speaking on. And when his turn was to discuss his thoughts, he talked about exiting a company that he started, the first like fintech in Latin America.
First ever online bank
in
Latin America.
Bank. And in the episode, he kind of talked about the why he started that story with his grandmother, having long time cashing checks and trying to make that more accessible. But he said, exiting at $700 million, he felt like a failure, felt like he failed there. And to other people, that would be like a huge success, right? Like walking away with that much money. But he felt like he didn't really kind of, serve as many people as he wanted to. In the episode, he kind of talks a little bit more about, those little changes that start happening over time with investments coming in and then ending up, building this where only like a small percentage of people would utilize the services and kind of moving away from thinking about where he started of like, no, we need to get it to people that don't have access to it. And so with his new company, with New Life, it's really shifting the perspective there of not being so money oriented. Obviously, that's important with any business, but really thinking about people and, making that goal of serving the first 1,000 people, then 5,000, 10,000 to 1 million.
Yeah.
And so really, I kind of like that approach of like, really focusing on serving the people. Like, and it comes back to, why are you doing anything?
Yeah.
Right? Is it just about the money, or is there a bigger mission and purpose in life that you're really trying to build? And so when he speaks, it really feels more mission aligned, which feels good, right?
Right. They really are going to scale in amazing ways, I think. And I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
I think you and I had some really interesting conversations walking home from the party last night back to our hotel. And I was like, subtly in crisis going like, I need to really revision where Psychedelics Today lives in the space.
Yeah.
Like you and I are going to do a lot of thinking over the next couple of weeks about what we actually want to do and see what the right move is.
Yeah.
It's fascinating times and pivotal times for the psychedelic world. So, if you're ignoring it, pretending it's not happening, like, the ostrich with its head in the sand is still going to get taken out if there's an actual threat.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go near an ostrich, by the way, but that's the reaction. Like, are you interacting with your environment, understanding it, learning, providing, and feeding back interesting behaviors into it or helpful behaviors into it?
Yeah.
that's what we need to do. Get active, get involved. Don't get lied to. There's a lot of people out there spreading misinformation from all over. So, watch carefully, read carefully. Try to read between the lines.
Yeah. I'm sure we've spread some things that weren't, factual from time to time. Right?
Totally. And we try. Like, I authentically want to correct myself if I said something fucked up later, because I want to be trusted. I want to spread truth as much as I can. Yeah. So maybe that's enough for now. We're at a little over 20 here. We're going to, do a longer one next week. Kind of probably share a lot more reflections and new things we've learned.
As we sit with it, integrate it. And we're still in it, mind's still churning. Yeah. And we have a bunch of great interviews coming out.
Oh, right.
Too.
I forgot. We were able to record a ton.
Yeah, we recorded a bunch of interviews. So JP Capello from New Life, Josh Barch from Midicine, and then you had some recordings with some folks, and
Better
David
Life,
as well.
Fascinating.
Yeah, Ben Sessa.
David recorded with Ben Sessa. It's awesome. A little envious. Didn't get to shake his hand, but I'm hopeful I'll get to meet Ben in the future.
Yeah,
big fan of Ben, and he works. I got to watch him and David, not on stage, go on and on about Awaken and their protocols. And the best line from Ben, well, he had a lot of really great lines. In the Victorian times, we handled alcohol use disorder way better than we do now, which is insane to me.
It's interesting to think about. What does that mean?
Right. And how defeated and unimpressed is psychiatry generally with itself. I think a lot of psychiatrists feel defeated.
Some that I talk to, definitely.
And it's time that we figure out what new compounds and protocols we can use.
Yeah.
Do we actually need novel compounds? I think we do need a lot of novel compounds, but I think the legacy, the existing molecules, are still just great. There's plenty of plants that are just fine. Fungi, amazing. A lot of talk on precision medicine. The idea of precision medicine is awesome. I just think we're a long way off.
Yeah.
But we'll get there, hopefully, with data and all this stuff. And I think that's enough for now.
Yeah.
So thank you all for allowing us a short episode. Thank you, Rob, for fitting in 2 back-to-back episodes. Really appreciate it. And I think that's it for now, everybody.
Yeah. So signing off here from Miami.
Beautiful Miami.
Yeah.
We'll be back. This place is amazing.
Yeah.
I always love it. Just about every time I'm here. So we'll be back.
Yeah. And for those that are looking for a conference, Horizons is also coming up. I think that's December 1st to the 5th.
I think we're working some sort of media angle with them. I'm considering going. I'm not 100% in. It sounds like you're in.
I think so. I mean, I'm very close. So,
right.
I mean, even I show up for a day, I should just at least go. But yeah, we were saying how different it is. New York City in October, it's nice. We all get to hang outside. And what's New York City in December going to be like? Hopefully it's not too cold, but...
We'll figure it out. And then January 6th, we kick off another round of Navigating Psychedelics for clinicians and therapists. Check that one out, psychedelicstoday.com to learn more. I think that's it for now, everybody.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. We'll do it again soon.